Thank you, Colonel Suarez. I appreciate it. So I'm going to start the questions here. Most of the time, DoD will continue to purchase drugs from the commercial drug market. But there are some instances when it makes sense for DoD to produce the medication itself. For example, when DoD is the only customer. An example is the adenovirus vaccine. While adenovirus typically causes mild cold or flu-like symptoms, it is a major cause of serious respiratory illness among service members, particularly during basic training. And that is why Rare developed an adenovirus vaccine, which it then licensed to private industry. But because there isn't a broad market for the adenovirus vaccine, it has sometimes been difficult to find a manufacturer that was willing to produce it. In fact, for over a decade, DoD was unable to vaccinate new recruits for adenovirus because the manufacturer decided to stop producing the vaccine, and there was no other manufacturer who was interested in doing this. Mr. Mendez, you've studied the defense healthcare system closely. So first, let's start with, how did this disruption affect the health of service members?
Thank you for the question, Senator. And that's correct. DoD exhausted their last supply of the adenovirus vaccine in about 1998, 1999. At that time, DoD estimated that the absence of that supply of vaccine would lead to about over 10,000 preventable infections from adenovirus, over 4,200 medical visits of recruits in the recruit training pipeline who are at risk for adenovirus, and over 850 hospitalizations. Wow. Within a year. To an extent, DoD did observe that in the absence of the vaccine.
Okay, so in other words, people got sick, they had to go to the doctor, there were even some deaths associated with these adenovirus, and all of that potentially affects warfighter readiness. You've got all these young people who are together, and the disease is moving among them, right? The virus is moving among them. So Dr. Barber, you are an expert on pharmaceutical manufacturing. What did it take to finally get a new manufacturer to produce the adenovirus vaccine for DoD?
So after the stocks were depleted in 1999, DoD does what it usually did. It put out a tender, and the previous manufacturer that had pulled out of the market, Wyeth, they agreed to do tech transfer, but only if DoD would reimburse them for it, which is quite the demand given, as we've heard today, DoD developed that vaccine and had done tech transfer to them free of charge in the first place. So only one manufacturer even considered bidding at the time, Greer, but they withdrew because they asked DoD for $10 million up front, and DoD could not agree to it at the time. All in all, it's estimated that it took about $100 million and 10 years for new vaccines to become available again.
You know, this is just stunning. So DoD, as you say, does the research, develops the vaccine, gives it away to try to be able to get a manufacturer going. And they end up paying a private manufacturer, I think you said $100 million, is that about right?
In the end, yes. That's
in the end, in order to build a facility to manufacture this vaccine that we need. On top of the money, they paid to purchase the vaccine from the manufacturer, all because DoD is at the mercy of private actors who just aren't interested in marketing these products for a relatively small market. Now, Mr. Mendez, is the adenovirus vaccine the only example of a product that the private market has been unwilling to manufacture for DoD?
No, the adenovirus is not a unique case. DoD has many challenges in finding a lot of medical countermeasures over many decades. Current challenges that they experience and are working through include products to address anthrax, botulism, cholera, hemorrhagic fevers, tularemia, and other health threats.
All right. So, you know, this is a real problem with where the market just doesn't meet what it is that DoD needs. And this is going to continue. We're going to continue to have medications that DoD requires in order to keep service members healthy and that simply aren't profitable for private industry to come in and produce. Dr. Barber, what would be the advantages if DoD decided to manufacture these drugs itself?
So public manufacture is likely, depending on the drug, to be enormously cost-saving. So to bring back the adenovirus example, the current contract with Teva is worth about $38 million per year. That's actually a lot of money to pay for a single vaccine. As a point of comparison, it's about 80% annually of how much California has budgeted to build an entire insulin factory. A report by the Army estimated adenovirus factory startup cost at $100 million with annual cost of $10 million per year. So that works out to DoD breaking even from building and running a manufacturing facility in just 3 years. Besides costs, by manufacturing their own drugs, DoD could ensure reliable supply and support wider strategic aims in restoring domestic production capacity.
Okay, so you pencil this out and discover, at least for some of these drugs, it would be cheaper for DoD to manufacture it themselves, and it would have the added benefit of you know what your supply chain is. There wouldn't be any secrets in the supply chain. And we'd have a reliable source for these drugs. This is why I'm introducing a new bill, the Keep DoD's Drug Supply Secure Act, to direct DoD to manufacture the drugs, devices, vaccines, and other medical products when there is a risk of shortage or quality concerns. This bill gives us an opportunity to resolve drug shortages, to secure the pharmaceutical supply chain, and to ensure safe and effective drugs for our service members. Thank you. Senator Scott.